Hi, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show. Today is a very impactful story. We're going to talk about comedy. We're going to talk about pain. We're going to talk about reinventing. We're going to talk about putting yourself in a different state of mind when things happen to you. We're going to talk about a diary. But not just any diary, because there's tons of diaries out there. I even have a diary. But we're going to talk about this one particular diary that's like sweeping the Midwest, soon to sweep the world. Divorce diaries. And I'm not going to give you the whole insight because I didn't write it. It's not my diary. But I do have in-house the young lady that wrote Divorce Diaries, the one, the only, Michele Marie Traina. Spelt the name wrong. Do it again. What is it? Traina?
Traina.
Let's do it again. Traina. Okay.
Traina. Generous. Most comedians that lead me in will just say my name wrong and walk off stage.
Okay, let's do it again. 1, 2, 3. Hi, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show. Today, we're going to talk about the importance of taking your pain, your suffering, and putting it all into the right category. The young lady that's on the show today has definitely done that. She's taken all of the childhood traumas, all the midlife trauma, because she's not old. So I'm gonna say somewhat midlife trauma, and decided to basically put it inside a decent collectible reading material, the Divorce Diaries. I'm not going to get too deep on how it all came together, but I'd like to welcome to the show all the way from New Jersey, Michele Marie Traina. Welcome to the show, Marie. Did I get the last name right? Did I get it right?
You got it right. You got it right. You could call me Marsha, Melissa, anything. Most of the guys that I date don't get my name right. You got my name right. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So,
okay, thank you
just tell the viewers a little bit about who you are before we get into the saga of the Divorce Diaries.
Yes, I love that saga. It's going to be a soap opera next. I love it. So I am a child of the stage. I was a dancer starting at, I think, 7. I started taking dance classes, and, I maneuver through the world as a performer. I went from dance to acting and musical theater.
Right.
I've done children's theater. I started my own theater company for specifically helping children who are, differently abled or children of all abilities. I'm, on camera, television. I love it all. Performing is a way I maneuver life, and it's also a way I personally think I heal through trauma or challenges.
When that's kind of interesting, because let me go back a little bit. Was theater, acting a part of your life growing up? Like, was your mother and father, were there members in the family that was involved in the theater, the arts, the dance?
Well, we're Italian, so we're just always performing in the kitchen or at family gatherings. Our arguments are dramatic as it is, so people buy tickets to the table. So I would say, no, my parents weren't actually working actors, but my dad was a huge cinematography fan. He wanted to be an actor. His life did not take him down that road, though. He actually was the one that really put it in my head that, I could be really good at this. And he loved showing me old movies like John Wayne, Kirk Douglas, Spartacus, so yes. And my mom is a really vibrant personality, and loved writing too. So it's definitely in my blood to perform. But I think naturally, Italian girl from Jersey, we are just naturally out there, right? And dramatic. love the comedic flair. Our arms are constantly moving. So it's just kind of a part of our genes.
So what were you doing as a young child besides watching The Godfather? Uh, that your father took notice at that particular moment, and about how old were you that he started to see this young girl with these stage abilities?
So my dad, even before I started dancing, like I remember I was about 4 or 5 years old, and we would dance to the Good, the Bad, the Ugly soundtrack,
Oh,
and
I
on
love
the
that. Yeah.
so we play Frank Sinatra, and we just loved to move and dance. And my dad would show us clips from movies like The Mission, The Natural, like stuff that wasn't probably appropriate for a 5-year-old to hear, the curse words, but like he
Right.
wanted to show us his love for cinematography. Then as I got older and I loved to be on stage, he said, Michelle, you have it. Like he just always had faith in me. If I
Hmm.
wanted to be, my dad thought I could be anything I wanted to be.
Right.
And so if he saw that I had a passion for it, he ignited that.
Were there
He's
were there ever any parts of your childhood, because we know everybody's childhood isn't always a bed of roses, no matter how much our parents and our loved ones see this potential or could be potential, but were there ever moments in your life that the pressure of what they saw took its toll on you? Because now you got to almost fulfill their dreams.
I'd say absolutely not. I think the only pressure I had was making enough money through the career because my parents wanted to, wanted me to just have stability
Hmm.
financially because actors' life can be a little struggle. So they always just, I do a joke about how my mother's like, well, how are you gonna get health insurance? What kind of health insurance you gonna have as an actor? You have to have a fallback,
Right.
and so that was always the pressure. But my parents were extremely supportive. That I will say. I think growing up in North Jersey is an Italian big family, cousins, and everyone was loving. With also like we fought hard, we played hard, we loved hard. But there was also a little bit of comparison between families and how much money everybody make, who's doing this, who's doing that. So you did have a little bit of pressure from wanting to feel like you made it.
Hmm.
Not so much that my parents made me feel that way; they did not,
Hmm.
but I used to feel that we were the poorest out
Really?
of every, yeah, money wise, not meant not within here, which is the most important,
Right.
but, it's just what happens when you grow up and you see everybody's talking about how much they get and this and that. But the pressure from doing what I love to do was not ever there from my parents. In fact, my mother still to this day is like helping me with my daughter when I have gigs, and like it's always a supportive but a friendly like, did you make enough money this month for your
Right.
acting?
So
It,
when you say that, when did it start to resonate for you? When did the shift change? You're doing this acting, you're doing this dancing, you got theater. Your father is big into what he's doing. Your mom is doing what she's doing, but they all have one goal in mind, and that's to see you live this out. But when did the light bulb actually click for you to do it? Because let's get real, when you're a kid, 5 years old, three, four, blah blah blah, your mind isn't really there about career choices and career pathways. Even if you're 18 years old, I could be wrong. You probably started crafting it, and then at 18 said, "This is exactly where I'm going to go."
Yeah, that's a great question. I remember specifically being 15 years old performing Hello Dolly in my high school musical, and I decided I wanted to do this. I said I want to pursue this in college. I want to be an actor. I've never waved from that since. So I ended up getting my master's in teaching in education when I met my ex-husband, but I always kept performing, and then eventually I left teaching full time to go back to performing full time. I do believe that when I really embraced the decision of wanting to be an actor, my heart never left that decision and never will.
Hmm.
When I veered off a little bit and went into teaching full time, there's nothing wrong with that. I think that was a good choice to make at the time, because you can still be an actor in the classroom with your students and role play and create and help
Right.
kids through arts and all that stuff. But The lifestyle of a performer is a different lifestyle than a person who has a corporate job from 9 to 5, and how you set that up. And it's about having that beast in you to
Hmm.
really get at it every day. So the high school moment was not backstage, and I remember, I don't know why I specifically remember it, but I do. And I have never regretted that decision.
Let me ask you a question. You mentioned something about high school. It's funny because I was watching the TV program. Um, it was one of 50 Cent's production of the Raising Canaan series. And a key moment in one of the episodes was when Jukebox went into her counselor, and her counselor asked her, "What do you want to be?" Because they're singers, and she says, "I want to be a singer." And the counselor kind of looked at her and goes, "That's a hobby. That's not a job." So she looked around, and there was only two job offers: McDonald's and White Castles. What was what was that like for you working with your counselors in high school, knowing that you want to get into theater and acting and so forth? Were they supportive with the tools and resources?
I had a, I mean, we really didn't have that kind of meeting in high school. I went to a very big high school, and they just were like, "There's what the college you're going to apply to. Great, next." They didn't really pay too mind of it. In fact, my counselor was just very nice, and she's like, "Sure, that's what you want to do. Great." I do recall a lot of people saying to have a fallback, which is normal and fine.
Right, right.
That's there's a lot of doubt when you tell people you're going to major in theater.
Hmm.
It's like, well, what are you going to do with that? How are you going to have a retirement account? You're going to have to really be talented to make it. And then it's the mentality of, and you can't get another career with a theater degree, which is false. You can do a lot of things with a theater degree, and you can pursue other, things with being a performer,
Hmm.
and, that's not really, hopefully now that's shifted in the
Right.
mindset of the school system.
But what do you think is the what do you think? Let me go back. You mentioned being a teacher. I was a teacher. You fall back on it, but you're still trying to pursue the acting career at the same time. Were there ever any doubts in your own mind because you're starting to hear all this negativity? And like they said, when you bring so much negativity into your own universe, eventually it starts to dig a hole there a little bit, and you might want to falter away from that because, like the movie, like the series I was talking about with 50 Cent and Jukebox, if you looking for somebody to believe in you besides yourself and maybe your family, were there ever any moments like that for you?
100%. I think there still are. I think that you have to surround yourself with people that contribute to your goals. So, there's that. So yes, there was,
Hmm.
still is.
Hmm.
And I've reached a point now where I find people in their experiences and motivational speakers, stuff like what you're doing, and allowing people to see the journey of something, right?
Right.
Something that are going to contribute to what you want. Because if you want something bad enough, you're going to do it.
Right.
So yes, there's a lot of naysayers. I have
Hmm.
moms all the time. Oh, are you making money doing this? And and it's like I had a mom say to me at the park, and I was really proud of myself during the pandemic. I left teaching full time, and I literally left my teaching job to be go back to full time acting, and the pandemic hit. It was
Wow.
the scariest thing of my life, and I everything actually worked out.
What do you mean
Then I
everything? What do you mean everything worked out? And
financially,
what was
financially.
scary about that for you?
Well, when you leave a paycheck that's consistent every other week, and you have gigs lined up that then get canceled,
Hmm.
where's that money coming from? So I was able to figure out a path and a plan. But for when it happened, I was scared, and I was like, how am I going to actually do this? But I literally got on link. I made virtual gigs happen for myself that paid bills, and
Wow.
uh, yeah. So when you want something bad enough, you
Mhm.
are going to do everything in your power to do it. At least that's what my mentality has
Mhm.
been. And I remember I read The Alchemist. I don't know if you ever read The Alchemist, and there's a thing about good omens. And I
Right.
got picked to be on Tea with Gary V, Gary Vaynerchuk's Instagram live thing. And I was like, this is a good omen. It was right at the top of the pandemic. And because I was like a huge fan of his, and all he talks about is motivation and engaging and support and positivity,
Right.
and nothing but negative dark clouds. And my dad had just died. It was like a thing. So I did I did the live. I just stayed consistent with everything I was doing. I mean, a lot of self-talk and discipline. And I got through it on the other side stronger and
Hmm.
better within my craft. Now, the naysayers, there was a mom at the park who said to me, like, I think a year into the pandemic, she said, "Oh, what do you do?" Because she knew I had a theater company and I performed at the library a couple of times. She's like, "Oh, is that your full-time gig?" I said, "Yeah, I'm an actor, I'm a comedian." And then she goes, "Oh, so just scraping by?" And I wanted to be like, and you know, the comedian in me was like, "Well, are you just scraping by in your marriage, lady?" And I'm going for the
Right.
jugular. I did
Right.
it.
Right.
And
Right.
and then she had to go back to her baseball game. And I was like, that is so awful to say to somebody, and then it started to play on me. I'm like, well, I am just scraping by.
Right.
Sometimes it's tougher weeks. And then I felt bad about myself. And then I was like, she just got to me. Why? Who cares?
Right. How much of, sorry for the loss of your father, and I can tell by even the opening of this conversation, your journey, your father played a critical part in your life. And the passing of your father, how much of that pushes you to not only see his dream come true, but to fulfill that? Because it's just as much his fulfillment as it is for you.
I'm not gonna cry today, damn it. Okay. So it's I just had my therapy session and now this was a great time to do this. So
Okay.
it's a huge part of it. I mean, I think that my I know my father would be proud of me no matter what. No matter what. If I decided to quit acting tomorrow and I'll go back to teaching full time, he'd still be proud that as long as I'm happy.
Right.
And happy is defined very universally and generic and it's fleeting, but um, you know, I I think that it's important for me to be consistent and
Mhm.
stay focused. And I know that regardless of what that is, that I'm fulfilling what my dad really wants for me,
How
which is to
much of
be.
this journey is actually, how much of this journey have you taken on? Because it appears from just the way we've been talking and even during the pre-interview, you had to basically be Atlas and carry the wishes of the family and yourself on your back. Is there, you was married, because we're gonna get into this before
Yeah.
we wrap up. Where was you eventually get married? Was there support there for you?
I think my ex-husband was always supportive of things I wanted to do. I don't he didn't come from the entertainment background, and I think that some of the things weren't super comfortable, love scenes, those kind of things. I don't he never told me to stop, but I felt a push towards internally in the external circumstances that maybe I should go to teach and have a little more stability, not be traveling all the time. And in honesty, it is hard when someone doesn't feel like, if someone doesn't want that in a relationship, then it wouldn't work. And I feel like I feel like it wouldn't have worked if I was doing what I'm doing now with him. Is, well, you're always traveling and gone. And I think that the support was there, but it was just the relationship wasn't going to last.
Did he
And
know what you? Let me back up, and you know where I'm going with this.
yeah,
Before you get married, he had to know what your dreams were.
yeah, we met waiting tables at a restaurant when I was in between gigs. I would wait tables at one of the local bars by my house,
Hmm.
Jersey, and we met when I came off the tour. And he came to one of my first shows on one of my first shows when we started dating. He drove 4 hours to see me in Best Little Whorehouse. How romantic! And I mean, it was one of my most favorite times I can think of between him and I, because it was very sweet and romantic, and I felt like this guy really likes me.
Right.
I mean, I toured a lot the first year we were together. Like I was in Nebraska for 2 months where we didn't see each other. So there was a lot of that, and I wanted to be with him, and I wanted to not be scraping by with like finding gigs in New York that paid as much as they paid on the road.
Right.
hard to find that, especially when you're first starting out, And, I think that the shift of my personal professional goals weighed on how I eventually felt disconnected from the relationship. Not his fault.
Right.
But he did know that, so he always knew that this is where my heart is. That's where he met me doing.
Right.
So when I got divorced and he found out I have a show called Divorce Diaries, he's never said anything negative, always been supportive, quietly supportive, He said to me, when I left teaching, I had a conversation with him, and I thought this was a very lovely conversation. They had seen a performance I directed for all of the students at my daughter's elementary school that I was also the teacher in the school, theater teacher in the school district for. And everybody was crying. I mean, I have a gift in teaching theater to children, and I know I do, but it wasn't where my heart wanted to be forever.
Right.
And after the show, we were walking to my car, and I said, I'm going to leave teaching next year. I need you to put our daughter on your health insurance because I'm going to make this work. And, he did. After the year, I don't know if I'm crying, but probably because he said I'm going to probably cry at the end of the episode, but he did. And I'm emotional because, other guys could be asked, I don't know if I'm allowed to start, but other guys could be about it and then be like, no, and he thankfully, we don't always see eye to eye, but thankfully heard me on that because it helped. It just helped a little bit. It was like a silent support. And then, I did a comedy special on Amazon Prime. My Divorce Diaries is on there. And I asked him before I wrote some jokes about us. I said, would you want to hear them before I, just to make sure you're okay with them? Because this is going to be on Amazon. And he's like, well, right now it's on Amazon. It might be on other platforms. And he's like, it's comedy. So no, I'm okay with it.
Right. I my hat's off to you for coming on the show and especially after leaving a therapy session. Wow. I caught you at the right time.
Between the flood in my kitchen and my basement last night, yesterday, into the therapy session, I was like, this guy's gonna think I'm nuts. But that's okay. It's on brand with Divorce Diaries.
Let's talk about the Divorce Diaries a little bit, and naturally there's some everybody's trauma is different. So let me bring that out right off the bat. Everybody deals in trauma a different way. Everybody's traumas is different. You went through yours. That's why you seeking your therapy. My hat's off to that. I believe that we all need an outlet to have someone to talk to. May not be right, but you need somebody to talk to. But the bigger question here is why the need to do the Divorce Diaries, and what was the reason for opening that door? What was the reason for even having it out there? And only you can share that with us.
I think that it was just a natural flow of what I've done in years prior. I always have created for my life. Prior to Divorce Diaries, I did a one-woman show called How to Be a Successful Teacher. That was part of the United Solo Festival in New York City, off Broadway. So I wanted to write another one, and I kept watching all these. I'm a huge Bravo TV fan, so I would watch, Real Housewives, Vanderpump Rules on my cell phone in my parents' house when I was getting divorced and I was stressed out, and it was my escape. So I decided to just start creating from the challenges a show called Divorce Diaries. I just kept thinking, Divorce Diaries, this is a reality show. Someone should follow me around while I'm potty training my daughter. My Nona's 92, she's potty training. My dog is handicapped. My parents are, got a curfew again. I'm trying to date men in their 30s and 40s who are unavailable emotionally and they're checked out. And it was funny. It's funny. I don't want people to cry because you get enough of that when you break up. I want to make them laugh. So Divorce Diaries started to develop really quickly when I got separated into a theater piece. Then it was a comedy show. Then it was one woman comedy show. And now it's a TV pilot that's going to be released in March. That it's won the film festival circuits. Right. We have a comedy special. I have a web series. It's a brand. So.
Do you regret? Let me rephrase this because I don't want to say regret. If you can turn back the hands of time for a brief moment, what do you think you would have done differently prior to even doing Divorce Diary or even thinking about divorce, because you come from an Italian family where family is definitely the key in with Italian people. If
Yeah.
you can go back, what do you think you would have done differently to keep that relationship going and still maybe write Divorce Diary, but maybe it would have had a different flair?
All roads would have led to divorce. That
Really?
relationship, yeah, I hate to say that because we have a beautiful child, but together, but that relationship was not evolving on either end. And it just was what happened. I mean, I don't want to say we should not gotten married because then
Right.
I wouldn't have my daughter.
Right.
But you know what? Italians are about family. They're also about staying miserable for the rest of your lives. If you come from an old school Sicilian one, where you made it, that's it. You lie in it for the rest of your life, you
Right.
know. But I knew, like, I didn't want to be a cheater. I didn't want my ex-husband to continue to be unhappy. This was like, you know, I look at he's getting married again, and like, I'm following my heart. Like, we're both in better places for it, and our
Right.
child has not seen us in like a horrible disarray
Right.
because we ended it pretty quickly after she was born.
Hmm.
We got divorced when she was 22 years old.
Right.
So there's a musical called If Then, I think it's called, and it shows how the woman who's getting divorced, either route she would have taken still would have led her to her career and her child, the love of her life,
Mm.
either path.
Right.
So I really believe that
Hmm.
no matter what decision I would have made differently, I still would have been here.
What's the message when people begin to watch this series that's coming out? Listen to the tour with you going doing this. What's the message that people should get from this? And is the message centralized to just women, or is it centralized to men, or is it a combination of both in the Divorce Diaries?
So it's definitely centralized for both. Even though I'm a female talking about my life as a single mom, dating and all that stuff, it's definitely for both.
Hmm.
The message is to never give up. I know that's so simple, but that's how I live my life.
Right.
Like, I'm never going to give up. I believe love does conquer all. I mean, not just love with a partner, because I don't have that. I have love for my child and for my family.
Right.
And I see the love that I get back from my child and from my mother and from the people around me. And that does help you conquer what you need to conquer. It does contribute to it. But if it was one phrase, I say never give up.
Hmm. How can the viewers reach out to you? How can they get information about the Divorce Diaries and all the new stuff? And tell a little bit about what you got in store as well.
Yes. Okay. So they can find anything about Michele Traina or Divorce Diaries at my website, which is michelletraina.com. That's one L, and or divorcediaries.com. I am also an actor, and I host a show called What's Up New York, which is it's a web show on ny2c.com, and it's a lot of fun. I get to meet a lot of fun people in New York, and you can see it from all over the world. So besides touring as a comedian and touring with Divorce Diaries and creating content for Divorce Diaries, you can see the TV pilot of Divorce Diaries March 29th. It's supposed to be globally distributed. Isn't that a
Right.
fun strategy? We don't know yet which platforms, but that will be released the week before. And then you can watch my content on my YouTube channel if you want to. If you can't come to a live show, there's a web series up there and everything. DivorceDiaryShow.com.
Out of all the stuff that you've accomplished so far, you're still young. What's the one thing that out of all of this, you got the series coming out, I mean, the universe is completely open up for you. I'm glad to get a chance to know you. But out of all this, what's the one thing that you look at and go, wow, this really came true?
My daughter, being a mom. That's the main. I have two goals
Okay.
in life. Two goals when I was younger. I want to be a mom. I want to be an actor.
And got both of them.
Yeah, I mean, I would love. I mean, the acting part, like now, I want my show to be on a network and be starring in it. But like, those are the two main things. I want to be acting full time, and I want to be a mom. I mean, yeah, I want a partner too, but sometimes stuff don't work out, but those being a mom, 100%.
I'm gonna ask you a question before we wrap up. The series getting ready to come out. I'm putting it out there. The series getting ready to come out. You got three females that's gonna play you. Who's
Okay.
it gonna be? And who's gonna play? Who's the three guys that's gonna play that you would like to play you? And who would you like to play you the partner in the relationship in this series?
Okay. I mean, Amy Poehler would play me or Amy Schumer. Or I would say, I don't know why I'm saying Claire Danes, but Claire Danes. And then the guy, oh, the guy. I
Ben
have to say
Affleck.
celebrity, right? Okay.
Ben Affleck.
Now, if anything, Matt Damon. Matt Damon over Ben Affleck. But
Okay.
Ben Affleck's a good one. Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, or oh, I should have this ready. Chris Stefano. He's really good. He's really, really funny. Chris Stefano would play my brother, actually, not my love interest, because I like the Latin men. Who is a Latin man? Oh my God, The Rock. Why not?
Dwayne Johnson.
Yes. Manifesting.
Leave the viewers with something that wakes you up every day, that keeps that beast mentality going. Close the show out.
Okay, Rumi quote. Set your life on fire and seek those who fan your flame.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Crayton Show.